You probably recognize the house behind me as the home of the Curtis brothers in the cult favorite film, The Outsiders, and it was nearly demolished. But today, it's a museum and an homage to the classic film, thanks to an unlikely and famous superfan who became its biggest champion. I'm talking about Danny Boy O'Connor from the Irish hip-hop group House of Pain, and he's inside right now waiting to talk to us and tell us its story. Danny, I have to tell you, when we told people that we were going to road trip to Tulsa, nearly every person we spoke to was like, you got to talk to Danny and go to the Outsider's house and learn this story.
Fantastic.
Your reputation precedes you. Thanks for having us out here, man.
Thanks. Hey, listen, it's glad to have you here. And I think on any road trip through Tulsa nowadays, it's a must-stop location.
How did this relationship between you and this town and this movie and this house, how did it all begin?
It started when I was 13 in Woodland Hills, California, when I got invited to see it at its original theatrical release. Related to those characters because I came from a broken home. It always stuck with me. Never in a million years did I think we would be standing in the living room talking about, you know, how this came about. But many years later on tour, in 2009, with the side group that we do, I'm in a group called House of Pain. Yeah. It's an Irish hip-hop group. And then we put a super group years later called the Coca Nostra. And on that first tour, we passed through Kane's Ballroom. So I started looking around for things to do. We had 3 days off, and it occurred to me that my favorite movie perhaps may have been filmed here. And when I asked our driver, he said, absolutely. He brought us to the drive-in, which still survives, and I was able to find the park, which is a block away from the Outsider's house, and then we were able to find the Outsider's house. This house looked like it did when they filmed in '82, but it also looked like 1967. I was smitten immediately. Like we said before, it was for sale for 40-something grand, which in LA, nothing. I was very intrigued, but I had to let it go again because I didn't live here and I didn't know much. But for the next 5 years, I was a big fan of road tripping, so I did a lot of road trips, and I would always make a pilgrimage, if you will, to the Outsider's house. Year after year, I just kept falling in love with everything that Tulsa had to offer. And I would always make a stop by here, and every year I'd notice that it was just falling in on itself, and it was getting to be in the state of disrepair. And then I started saying, they should do this, and why don't they make a museum? And then I started going, why don't you do it? Found a way to get a hold of the owner, contacted her, said, I know the house is not for sale on the market anymore, and I remember when it was for sale. If you ever have the inclination to sell, maybe I'm interested. We made a deal. I thought I had stole it. When I got here and finally broke in myself, I realized that she knew a little bit more about the condition on the inside than I did.
Okay.
And that's when I started asking for help. I thought, clearly they're not. If this house could be had for so cheap and nobody was interested locally, maybe I didn't know what I was talking about. Maybe I was one of a handful of Outsiders fans still left. But once they found out, they came out of the woodwork. People started to help, and all I was smart enough to get out of their way. So plumbers plumbed, electricians electricianed, and people did our grass and did our chimneys and helped with the floors, and money started to trickle in, and we were like, I think I can. Before long. Originally they asked, how long will this take? I said, oh, give us 6 to 8 months. It took 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Triple what we thought the budget would be. But
sure,
again, it happened when it was supposed to happen.
When it was supposed to happen.
And that being said, I'm a perfectionist when it comes to doing this right. So when you come in this house, patio looks like it did in the movie, which it wasn't when I bought it. Everything in here has been meticulously gone through, scene by scene, the full finishing, the stuff that's on the walls. If we've added any additions, it's just to give you a reference or so you understand and get the vibe. But you can go in every room that the movie was filmed in and stand in a scene where that greatness happened.
Wow.
And then it's mixed with the collectibles, which is we have the largest collection of Outsiders and C. Hinton known to man. Yeah. And I'm just glad it's back home where it belongs.
And you have told me too, I mean, you love the movie, clearly. You're a fan of The Outsiders. That had a huge impact on you as an adolescent and growing up. That being said, what you've ended up kind of falling in love with is Tulsa too.
Yeah, I fell in love with Tulsa. I fell in love with it. It's the people that make it. If you have a dream and you want to work hard, they'll help you do it. Yeah. It has rich history, starting from Native American to oil history. It's got a beautiful downtown, the third largest collection of Art Deco buildings. So I love it here because of the fact that, again, people have supported me. This is not me. I didn't do this. Sure. I just started this, and then I stuck with it.
I will tell you now, you are a Tulsa hero. People really adore what you've done for this film and this house in the city. This is so cool. Well, thank you for having us. I can't believe I'm inside this house. We've stepped into history. This is the coolest thing. Danny, thank you for having us. And thanks for what you've done. No. I'm going to take the grand tour now. We've got the guy here.
Come on, let's go.